Well, I know virtually all of you have seen it on TV, but if you've never been there in person, it's really quite a sight. If you've never actually seen a peacock, when it goes to the trouble of ruffling up its feathers and puts on this incredible display, it genuinely does leave you slack-jawed. You just can't take your eyes off. It's absolutely amazing. And that's how I feel about Bill and Hillary Clinton. If you could take the qualities of avarice and greed and pride and mendacity and run them to their evolutionary dead end where there's just this enormous thing and watch them just display it like this, I just keep coming back to them because to me they're just so simply astonishing. It's astonishing what these people are capable of. Hi, everybody. I'm Bill Whittle here with Steve Green and Scott Ott, and both of the Clintons surfaced recently with some statements that I think bear some mentioning, and I can't look away. I'm fascinated by the sheer great white shark efficiency of the thing. Steve, let's start with you. Bill Clinton, just a few days ago, had basically mentioned that he's kind of a victim of the Me Too movement as well, that he's a victim of the Monica Lewinsky scandal. He says, I had to pay $16 million to get out of this. That's what his court costs. I was in debt for years after this. And I just feel such tremendous sorrow for the guy who along with his wife, seems to just be missing the enzyme that allows normal people to digest the idea of right and wrong, perpetrator and victim, cause and effect. He simply genuinely does not seem to be capable of understanding that he is the poster child for the bad guy in the Me Too movement, not for the good guy. Why are we seeing this guy crawl out from whatever rock he should have crawled into a long time ago? What do you think about a statement like that?
Oh my, the guy got a $16 million and he's complaining about it. That is chutzpah. Listen, have you seen the interview he did? I can't remember which news channel had him on and James Patterson, but he was asked this Monica Lewinsky question. Have you ever apologized to Miss Lewinsky? And Clinton, in the most Clinton-esque moment, and I've been watching this guy since about 1991, most Clinton-esque moment ever, says, yes, no, before going into his long thing, or no, yes, whatever the order was, before getting into his long, contrived excuse. So that later on, when somebody tries to pin him down on it, he can claim that either the yes or the no was the answer to the actual question of have you apologized to Monica Lewinsky for your treatment of her. So, no, okay, you know how the spaghetti is done when you throw it up against the wall and it sticks? Mm-hmm. With the Clintons, you're throwing the spaghetti water up against the wall and nothing ever sticks because you can't pin them down on anything. They will say anything, they will do anything, and now he's written a book with noted author James Patterson, in which I can only assume that some silver-haired, roguishly charming president is the action hero of this thing.
What's the book called?
It's called The President is Missing, I believe.
Oh, Lord. Why couldn't he have been missing?
Do you know anything about it?
Oh, that it were true in his day.
What's the plot outline?
From what I understand, the plot basically, and this is Bill Clinton and James Patterson's name appear on the front of the book in equal type size. I believe Bill on top, of course, as we might expect. But it is the plot is basically that there is a terrorist attack of some sort, and the president has gone rogue to fight off the terrorist himself. There's several shootouts involving the president.
Sure.
On the 14th
That's
Street
Clinton,
Bridge
all right.
and elsewhere. Think of it as Air Force One with Harrison Ford, just without the Air Force One or the Harrison Ford character.
Well, that's interesting, because that's not the first collaboration that the Clintons have done with James Patterson. Patterson, as you know, has written something like 1,000 books or something. But
well, he has come into being a large number.
He has
of
written
books.
so much, but this has got to be number, I don't know, this is like the 20th or something collaboration he did with the Clintons. These are actual Patterson books. The previous ones he's done with Bill are called Just My Rotten Luck, Private Down Under, Kiss the Girls, The Quickie, and Pop Goes the Weasel. So those collaborations have been there for a while. Here's what he's written in cooperation with Hillary Clinton. He's written Along Came a Spider, Against Medical Advice, Big Fat Liar, Guilty Wives, Medhead, It's my favorite. Humans bow down, laugh out loud, and never, never. And finally, working with both of them, mostly dealing with the books he's written about the Clinton Foundation, Patterson's also written Witch and Wizard, Murder Games, Filthy Rich, Quest for the City of Gold, You've Been Warned, How to Be a Supervillain, and The Unflushables. So his relationship with the Clintons goes back for decades.
So what you're saying is they were ghostwriters on all of these books that we only know as James Patterson books, basically.
Patterson was working with the Clintons as basically collaborators, unmentioned collaborators, because the Clintons, you know how averse they are to publicity.
Oh, yeah,
and how private they are. Scott, Hillary Clinton, just a few weeks ago, once again, defending the loss, that she said she's completely over the loss, but she's concerned as an American, which has the same ring of truth as everything else Hillary Clinton says. But it's a little thing, but I thought it was an important thing. Hillary Clinton said that yes, after the election, I did some crying and I drank my share of Chardonnay. Hillary Clinton's share of Chardonnay would require the requisitioning of every tanker truck on the West Coast. You know, I mean, you'd have a convoy. It'd be like the song, you know, a 100-mile convoy of these things running Chardonnay to wherever the hell Hillary Clinton is. Seriously, though, Scott, I just think sometimes, no matter how bad things get for us, we have to go back and look at the size of this artillery shell that we dodged. There are a lot of reports that this woman is, in fact, just an open alcoholic, drinks to excess pretty much all the time. But it's not even a question of, hey, I had a glass of wine in the evenings following the thing as I sat there with my Chaucer and read by the fireplace. No, she was blind drunk by the time that they made the announcement. That's why she didn't come out. In addition to all of her other qualities. This propensity for heavy drinking, I think, is a pretty disturbing one to have in a president, as a man who's just in the middle of a biography of Ulysses S. Grant.
Well, I was just going to say, yeah, I'm reading Grant now. I haven't gotten to the point in the biography yet. Ron Chernow's biography that's just called Grant. I haven't gotten to the Grant presidency. We're still we're at about Vicksburg in the Civil War right now.
He's about to go on a tear, by the way.
Yeah,
I mean a major tear.
But see, the great thing, I mean, the redeeming quality of Ulysses Grant was that, yes, he did go off on these drinking binges from time to time, but he did them in private, and even though they were widely rumored, very few people ever actually saw him drunk. And when he wasn't drunk, he was good at what he did.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
He was an effective general in the war, and a great leader, and a humble person, and somebody who was willing to pitch in and roll up his sleeves. You know, when his men were trying to, you know, pull a wagon out of the muck or something like that, he would get right in there and help them with it. And every soldier knew that Ulysses Grant would sleep in the rain, you know, just like they did in many occasions, and work side by side with them. So that makes the distinction. I'm not, you know, it's kind of Winston Churchill. Yes, Winston Churchill was drinking all day, every day, but he was also a great leader. And that's, I think, where we draw the line with Hillary Clinton. Your peacock analogy is a fascinating one to me, Bill, because I grew up out in the country, and there was an incident, I'm not sure the genesis of it or how it came to be, but at some point, somehow, our next door neighbors, the Currys, wound up with a peacock on top of their chimney. There was a live peacock on top of the chimney of our next door neighbor's house. And while everybody knows about the beautiful fanned out feathers of the peacock and how gorgeous those are, not as many people know of the horrible caterwauling that a peacock makes. The cry of the peacock is something that one must actually hear to appreciate. It really restores the vocal reputation of the harpy. I mean, really,
it sounds like a human being ripped apart.
It sounds like a Hillary Clinton.
Hideous.
It is. Now, no, it's not that bad. It's not that bad.
No.
It's not.
Because she sounds like somebody trying to cut through concrete and rebar with a chainsaw.
That's right. So you're right. You can't look away. You can't stop listening to it. And one more little Bill Clinton anecdote, by the way. A reporter directly asked him, to my surprise, on this book tour with James Patterson. The reporter asked what he thought of the fact that a while back, Senator Kirsten Gillibrand from New York had said that Bill Clinton should have resigned when the allegations came out about the way he used his powerful position to sexually harass Monica Lewinsky and others, and he should have resigned. And Bill Clinton's response to that, what do you think of that, Mr. President? Bill Clinton's response was, well, Senator Gillibrand and I just have a difference of opinion.
Yeah. This is the guy, of course, who famously said, well, that depends on what your definition of is. Slick Willie was known to be the kind of guy who could basically try and talk himself out of everything. And as has been mentioned many times, his personal charisma is supposed to be simply unbelievable. There are people who have been staunch, filled with hatred with the guy, and after 10 minutes, they want to go camping with him. But that doesn't change much of anything for me. The thing I find interesting about both Bill and Hillary Clinton is that, I wasn't kidding about the peacock thing, they seem to be, to me, the absolute farthest example that I've ever seen. Forget the avarice and the lying and all the rest of it, and all the fact that anything they do is for sale. But the sin of pride, really, I think, is the thing that is most on display with such incredible glory and clarity with the Clintons. Both Bill and Hillary Clinton lack the ability to say I was wrong. They do not have they do not have that chromosome. They can't do it. They cannot say I was wrong. They cannot say it was my mistake. They can't say I'm sorry and mean it. Everything has an excuse. Everything has an explanation. You can lie your way out of any particular thing. And this is what pride does to people. And I suppose we should be grateful for Bill spending 8 years chasing tail, because if he hadn't, he might have gotten us into a whole lot of trouble. But Hillary and that level of pride really was going to be, humans bow down. And we did, in fact, dodge a tactical nuclear weapon that went whizzing past our ears. So it's always that to be grateful for. I'm sure they'll be back again with more excuses for what happened, and more victimhood, and more crying, and more attempt to get back in the spotlight. But they are the worst people I've ever seen in politics. And in a country like this, that's really an achievement that you can be quite proud of. Speaking of pride. That'll do it for this edition of Right Angle, brought to you by the paying members at BillWhittle.com. This show's made possible entirely by them. We'd love to have you join the team. Just head on over to BillWhittle.com, and you can be part of the people that are doing the lifting instead of part of the people that are doing the riding. And we'll see you next week right here on Right Angle.